Hello my dear friends, this is Prashant Mamani here and I welcome all of you in today's geography lecture. We are learning continents. In previous lecture we have learned about Asia, and in this lecture we are going across Africa. Now before I move any further, I would like to inform you that this lecture is particularly designed for aspirants of competitive exams. Apart from that, if you are in school or if you are a parent and if you want to learn something about Africa and then teach it to your kids, then you will get every important thing regarding Africa from this lecture. I have added a bit of other things as well in context of India and Africa. I think that would be helpful for students of competitive exam. But if you are not preparing for that, then you can either just ignore that information, or you can dig out a bit more about that to understand what we are talking about. So let's move on. Now you know the place on which we are living, the land, is known as lithosphere. It is the solid portion which we have talked about in our previous lectures. I'm quickly going to take you through it. It is made up of soil and rocks. Soil has nutrient elements which sustain organisms. Now there are two divisions of Earth's surface. One is continents and the other is ocean basin, but we are focusing on continents. So let's move on to our continent, that is Africa. Now this lecture is not only about learning, it's not only about Africa, it is also about understanding how to prepare for your competitive exams. So let's begin with our own way. Observe here, this is your Africa. Now you can start from anywhere. You can either start from north or south, east or west, depends on you. But I would start with the things that are surrounding Africa. I can see blue thing, that means water is surrounding Africa. So I'll start with the north side. On the northern side you see that there is Mediterranean Sea, right? This is your Mediterranean Sea here. On northeast side you find Red Sea, isn't it? As you come down a bit further, it's not written here, but this is our Indian Ocean. The water of this place is Indian Ocean. On the southern bit you find Southern Ocean, and as you come on the southwest side and the southwest and western side, you find that you have Atlantic Ocean. Now there are two divisions of Atlantic Ocean. One is South Atlantic Ocean, right? That is ocean that is below equator, that is known as South Atlantic Ocean. And as you go towards the northern side of equator, you find this water over here is of North Atlantic Ocean. So we can say that Africa is covered with water. Apart from that, there are other things that you can observe from this map which is given here, or you can use your own map. You can use your atlas book and observe different things regarding Africa. You can go through political map, physical map, and if you don't know how to use that, then you can refer to my lecture that is on how to use maps or atlas. That will help you. Now one thing that is very peculiar about Africa is that look at the borders of different countries. They are in straight line. See here, observe the borders. You will find they are in straight lines. Now how this is possible? One of the reasons why you find this sort of borders here is that Africa was colonized by European countries. So to avoid conflict and to make it easy for themselves, they have made this border in straight lines. That is one of the reasons. Apart from that, there are other reasons, but we are not going too deep into it. It is just for your understanding. You can see there are many countries in Africa. I don't have the exact number because I'm preparing a live lecture for you, but as I observe the map, there are many things that are coming out, they are popping out in my mind, so I'm presenting that to you in a live form. As far as I know, there are 54 countries in Africa, right? Is there anything else you can observe from this map? I can see here Atlas Mountain, Morocco. In Morocco you find Atlas Mountain. Part of Atlas Mountain is also in Algeria as well. Now say for example, if you are being asked to locate Nigeria, right, then how do you start? You can start from either east, west, north or south, and doing this, one of the most important thing that you get from starting this way rather than starting randomly, if you start in this way, what happens is that you will come across many different names. Say if you start from south, then you will find South Africa, then you will also find Lesotho, Swaziland and Mozambique, and you will locate these countries. And you don't have to remember the names of this country, but if you use map quite frequently whilst you are studying about a country, or if you're learning, say for example you are reading a newspaper and you read about Ebola, and in the news it says that, say for example, Sierra Leone is a place where Ebola is found, etc. Then what I would do is I would open my Atlas book, I will try to locate where Sierra Leone is, and once I locate that, I will also observe that which are different countries that are having borders with Sierra Leone. The other thing I would look for is, are there any mountains in Sierra Leone? Is it covered by desert, or is it a hilly place, etc. I'll also look if there are any water bodies nearby Sierra Leone. Then I can say that yes, the North Atlantic Ocean is there in Sierra Leone. So by this way I learn not only I locate where Sierra Leone is, but I also learn a couple of other things regarding Sierra Leone. And by preparing in this way, or by studying in this way, you can remember things, and it will be also a bit of fun, and it will create interest in you regarding studies, right? The other thing I can see from the map is, I can see, as I was talking about South Atlantic and North Atlantic, I talked about equator. So I can see 0 degree equator is passing through Africa, isn't it? It is dividing, roughly speaking, Africa into two parts, north and southern part. That is one of the reasons why Africa, this country is known as South Africa. It is not only in the southern side of Africa, but it is also in the southern hemisphere. The other thing regarding Africa, if you remember our lecture on season, right? Summer solstice and winter solstice. Summer solstice and winter solstice. You will observe that if northern part of Africa is going through winter, then southern part of Africa would be going through summer, and vice versa. Then the other important line I can see is Tropic of Capricorn, 23.5 degrees south. That is passing through, generally speaking, southern side of African continent. And I can also see Tropic of Cancer. So far we have learned about Asia. We know that in Asia you have equator and Tropic of Cancer, but in Africa you have all three lines: equator, Cancer and Capricorn. So you can say that most part of Africa, right, a bigger portion of Africa is in torrid zone. That is, it would be receiving maximum amount of heat. And as you move to northern side of Africa, northern side of Capricorn, you enter subtropical zone, that is temperate zone. And here as well in South Africa as well you have temperate zone. That is one of the reason why at the moment, as northern hemisphere is going through winter, you will find cricket matches will be played in countries like Australia and South Africa. The reason is that they have summertime now, so the weather would be beautiful over there. It would be sunshine, and you know, with cricket, if it's rainy and all that, then you cannot enjoy that game. Moving on, apart from, once you go through this thing, you can also learn, I have some other points for you regarding Africa. It is second biggest continent in this world. Now remember which is the biggest one. The other thing is, excuse me, I have already talked about that equator runs almost through its middle. Africa is in northern hemisphere as well in southern hemisphere, isn't it? This part is in northern hemisphere and this part is in southern hemisphere. Part of Africa is in eastern hemisphere and western hemisphere as well. Now let's see, you know that 0 degree, that is prime meridian longitude, is passing from Africa as well. So all this part, Morocco and all this part, are technically in western hemisphere, and the rest of Africa, majority of Africa, is in eastern hemisphere. The other thing is, as we have talked about already, that Cancer, Equator and Capricorn passes through Africa. You have Sahara Desert, which is the biggest hot desert in the world, that is in Africa. Northern portion of Africa is covered with Sahara Desert. The longest river in the world, that is Nile, is also present in Africa. It is passing through different countries. You can locate its origination and its mouth from map. I'm not taking you through that. It is something you have to learn by yourself. The other thing is waters around Africa we have already located. We have seen Mediterranean in north. In northeast you find Red Sea. Then you have Indian Ocean, Southern Ocean, South Atlantic and North Atlantic. This is clockwise. I have presented all the different waters that are surrounding Africa. Then you also have African Union. Now, if you don't know much about African Union, I would recommend you to just Google it, learn, spend like 10-15 minutes behind African Union and note down important points. Then you have Mount Kilimanjaro. It is one of the famous tourist destination in the world. It is highest peak of Africa. It is in Tanzania. It is located in Tanzania. So locate this thing as well. Other thing is, you know very well, Africa is famous for wildlife, and one of the reason is that it is located in tropical zone. It is also in torrid zone, and go through my previous lecture and you will find why we have this sort of diversity in wildlife, because we have this torrid and tropical zone. And we have Atlas Mountain, which we have located, Algeria and Morocco. And last thing is non-aligned movement. In context of India, there are many African countries that were part of non-aligned movement. It is something regarding Cold War. After World War II, the situation in the world was that it was divided into two blocks. One was American side, the other was Russian side. And Jawaharlal Nehru, Prime Minister of India, with help of other leaders, formed a non-aligned movement. That means all the countries that were part of non-aligned movement were not part of American bloc, or neither they were part of Russian bloc. So many African countries were part of NAM, that is known as NAM. And recently there was a meeting held in one of the country in South America where our Vice President visited. I will leave that for you to Google it, so that you will come to know some things, some important things regarding NAM. Right, friends, so that's everything regarding Africa. Do let me know how you are finding these lectures, and I'll see you soon with another continent. Till then, enjoy, take care, goodbye.